Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing baked ziti, and this is near and dear to my heart. As a kid, I grew up in Minnesota, so me and my mother, we'd always go to the Minnesota State Fair, and they had one of the best baked ziti booths ever. Not that that's like a normal thing, but it was in Minnesota, and we'd always go and we'd chow down. So this is an ode to that experience of my childhood. So I'm dicing up 2 onions and 6 cloves of garlic, and now we're gonna go ahead and get into shredding the cheese. I'm using fontina just because it's got a little bit more flavor than just mozzarella. You can use mozzarella, or you could have it, or you could use Gouda or vegan cheese, whatever your heart's content. But as for me and my recipe, fontina is the way we're going today. So you're gonna go ahead and shred that down to as far as you can. Don't shred your fingers though. But don't throw that little bit away. We're gonna, of course, use that. So I'm just gonna take it and chop it up. You can chop it up, you can tear it up, whatever. Just don't waste it. Or you could eat it. That's another way not to waste it. I mean, it's cheese, so there you go. All done. So now we have our spread to start the cooking process. So we're gonna head over to the stove with our Dutch oven, and it's preheated, medium-high heat, and I'm gonna go around the pan with the extra virgin olive oil about 6 times. 6 times around the pan. It's a big batch of ziti, so don't be afraid about the oil content here. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the shallots and the onions in the pan and saute those for about 5 to 6 minutes until they are translucent. And feel free, if you need to adjust the heat, if you feel like it's cooking a little bit too fast, just turn it down a little bit. So next steps, we're gonna start the sauce, and we're gonna be using my best friend passata in a couple minutes. What is passata? We're gonna talk about that a little later, but for now, we're gonna do 2 chili peppers, my favorite, just to give it that nice little warm hum in the sauce without it being overly spicy. So I like to throw that in while the onions and garlic are sauteing to kind of get it to bloom a little bit. So now we got 2 jars of passata. Do not hold back here. You might be like, oh my god, this is too much. It's gonna, like, you know, cause the noodles to swim in the sauce. It's gonna coat everything beautifully. Just trust the process on this one. So what is passata? Passata is a pureed tomato product. Instead of going for like the canned tomatoes and the crushing and the draining of the sauce and whatnot, it's all ready to go. It's all milled, the seeds are all out of it, and it tastes really clean and good. So I really like using passata. So of course there's going to be like leftover, just like if you were using canned tomatoes. You want to swish it out with water to go ahead and get every little bit of passata goodness out of the jar. Waste not, want not. I do not like wasting stuff. I paid for it. I'm not wasting it. So a little bit of water in one jar, dump it into the other, and you're good to go. You might need to do the process twice. Just remember, you know, bit by bit with the water. If you go crazy at once you add, you can't take away. So we're going to shake up both of the jars, and we're going to go ahead and dump out the rest of the passata into the sauce, and adding a little bit of water or wine or stock or what have you to your tomato sauce. That's great because it allows it to kind of concentrate the flavors a little bit. So don't be afraid to do that. Just again, principle is be careful how you add, because once you add, you can't take away. So we're gonna go ahead and stir that up, and then we're gonna move on to the next steps in just a second. Flavorings. We got cracked black pepper, and I'm doing about 20 cracks into the pan on this one. And then we're gonna get into herbs. So for the herbs, I have a little bit of oregano and some thyme on this one. That's it. That's all about 2 teaspoons each. And what I'm doing, I like to go ahead and crush it in my hands just to get the oils going. You can just dump it in, that's fine too, but you know, I'm a little bit OCD. So, and then along with my crushed herbs, I'm gonna add a bay leaf, We're gonna stir and put the top on, and we're gonna let this boil for about, or I'm sorry, not boil, simmer for about 20 minutes. So now we're gonna go ahead and let it simmer for about 20-30 minutes. You don't have to let it go a long time. This isn't a bolognese, this isn't a ragu. Simple marinara-ish. It is kind of a marinara. Anyway, 20-30 minutes, that's it. We're gonna clean up a little bit, go to the next step. So now is the time to cook the pasta, and I used rigatoni for this, or riggies as I love to call it. I thought I was gonna have to use 2 bags, but I had this last minute gut feeling like I should just hold off. So I ended up using 1.5, and I ended up being completely and totally right because it was perfect for this dish. So just 1.5 bags for this. And I cooked it for 8 to 10 minutes, a little bit short of the package instructions. I wanted it to be a little bit less than al dente or to the teeth because it's actually going to finish up cooking in the sauce. So went ahead, dumped that in, and tried to go ahead and test it. And then I lost that one. We're going to try again. Yep, so take 2, and this time it did work. And it was ready to go. What I did once it was done, I pulled it out of the water. I have one of these cool inserts inside the pot where I can go ahead and pull it out and it's strained and just sit it on the side of the pot without having to, you know, dump it into the colander and all that. But if you just have to dump it into the colander, that's fine, and then just set it aside and wait until the sauce is ready to go. So what you're seeing now, I'm doing my baking soda trick, and if you haven't learned about that, go back and watch my tomato jam video. I use the baking soda trick in there. Baking soda alkalizes tomato sauce in this case. What does that do? It takes out the acidity. It makes it turns it alkaline so that it tastes more like really fresh tomato off the vine, and it replaces the need to add sugar to a tomato sauce, which I really don't like doing. And then that's me tasting to see if it's ready to go. And apparently it is, because I did it twice. I did add a little bit more salt, which is really common while you're cooking. Season while you go. You know, you may need to go ahead and tweak some things. A little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper. Or maybe it's perfect. In this case, you know, it needed a little bit more oomph. So, next step is the cheese. And what I'm doing is putting 16 ounces of ricotta directly into the sauce. This is not a lasagna. We're not making layers here. We want this to go directly into the sauce to coat each noodle, which is very, very key with ziti. And then we're going to go ahead and take the pasta, which is drained, and put it straight into the sauce. See, look at that. Absolutely perfect. If I had done 2 bags, it would have been tears and it would have been awful. Probably not, but really, really glad that it came out perfect. And we're gonna slowly fold it in. Don't go crazy with stirring because you don't want to break up the noodles. The noodles are pretty well, you know, they're al dente, so they're holding their shape, but nevertheless, you want to take your time folding things in. I'm adding 1/4 to 1/2 cup of pasta water. I think for this I actually did 1/2 cup. Why am I adding pasta water to the ziti? Because what's going to happen is that the starch in the water is actually going to help with the sauce coming together, and it's also going to give this really lovely sheen to it. It's great. So here's my shredded fontina, and we are adding 1/2 and saving the other 1/2 for later. And we're going to fold this fontina in very gently. And this is like when things start to get really sexy with the pasta. Yeah, I said sexy, because now the cheese goo factor is going to come in and it's just going to be luscious and delicious. I also had like a little bit of Gouda I wanted to use up. I love Gouda. That's also like a mainstay in my fridge. And I wanted to use it up, so that's not going to hurt. So I added that too. Probably don't want to do like leftover blue cheese or American cheese in this. Just kidding, but I'm just saying, don't do that. Not for this dish anyway. And we're gonna scrape down the side of the pan to get all the good little bits and pieces. And now, time for Parmesan. Hello again, Trader Joe's. I actually love their cheese. It's so good, and it's reasonably priced. So I did about half a cup into the actual pasta and folded that in. And we're gonna add a little bit more on the top before we actually bake this. There's me again, not wanting to waste anything. I paid for it, dagnabbit. And there's the cheese on the top. And there's the other half of the fontina that I set aside. It just gets beautiful when it's in the oven. And it just adds to the sexiness of the pasta. Yeah, it's sexy. Whatever. So I'm putting it in at 375 and we're gonna bake it until it's golden and bubbly, and that's about 35 to 40 minutes. And here it is. Another reason why I love Dutch oven, because they're so cool looking. You can just serve it in there. And here is the money shot. You are welcome. It was really hard to kind of wait till for it to cool down so that I could go ahead and cut into this and eat it. And yes, cheese factor galore. You're welcome. I thought of you all while making that shot right there. You're also welcome. Now, to finish it off so we can eat this bad boy. Little bit more parm. There's a ton of cheese in here, so you don't need to go crazy with that. Little bit of salad. Just kidding. Just Italian parsley. Please, no curly parsley. Please, for the love of everything good, no curly parsley. Get the Italian parsley, please, and thank you. And just a little drizzle of olive oil. Thumb on the top. And pour it over so you don't drown your freshly made pasta in olive oil. Olive oil is great, but you don't want it swimming like that. Not with this, anyway. And there it is. Isn't it so pretty? Okay, it's time for a taste test. Taste test. It's not like I haven't made this before. It's been a while. It's been a while. Yep. Minnesota State Fair days. Me and my mom would go straight to the baked Ziti booth. Go get this. Only thing that's missing is some garlic bread, but we can always do another episode for that. So, thanks. Hope you try it. Have a good night. Bye.